The two works you see behind me are part of Hockney's most ambitious print project to date. Entitled Moving Focus, it contains 29 still lives, portraits and landscapes. The two views behind me are of the Hotel Acatlan, which is located about 100 miles outside Mexico City. Hockney hadn't intended to create prints of them, but he was unexpectedly detained when his car broke down whilst he was on a motoring holiday. But once he was in the hotel, he was completely entranced by its architecture, particularly this central courtyard, which in the vibrant Mexican sun was filled with movement and saturated colours. So he returned to Los Angeles and mentioned it to Ken Tyler, the master printmaker, who returned with David, and they set about creating these wonderful images we see here. They're both technically and intellectually complex. In technical terms, they made use of Ken Tyler's developments of the incorporation of mylar plastic sheets into printmaking, which allowed David Hockney to build up very complex layers of ink. Ken Tyler also developed special saturated colours to accurately represent the Mexican sun, and even incorporated the use of texture in the printmaking process. In terms of the treatment of the subject matter, one can see that Hockney is investigating multi-point perspective, and this touches on his long-held argument that single-point perspective of cameras gives a false or misleading idea of how humans perceive the world. He feels that multi-point perspective, which the Chinese have used for centuries, is a much more accurate representation of how human beings perceive the reality around them. And this is why we see the rather fractured dynamic, which is meant to incorporate the viewer in the scene. And as one's eye bounces around the compositions, Hockney believes that this gives a much more accurate representation as to how human beings perceive their surroundings.